Morning, students. Welcome to today's lesson on methods of teaching biology. This lesson is session 2 of Unit 4. In this session, we are going to talk about tabular lesson plan. When we say a tabular lesson plan, what does it mean? Or how do you develop a tabular lesson plan? So by the end of the session, I expect that you should be able to state a lesson objective, state relevant previous knowledge, and then develop a biology lesson plan. Okay. So the lesson will look at how to translate the scheme of work into specific lessons in order to successfully teach. And also, the teacher must have a lesson plan. That is very important. So we are going to look at the concept of a lesson plan. What is a lesson plan? Now, a lesson plan is the day-to-day instructional design or a guide that is developed by a teacher for specific lessons. It is extremely useful tool that serves as a guide, resource, and historical document reflecting the teacher's teaching philosophy, as well as the learning goals for his or her students. So we are saying that a lesson plan serves as a map or a checklist that guides the teacher in knowing what we want to do next, and also the sequence of activities and objectives of the lesson for the students. So lesson plan helps to make teaching organized and more systematic. You know, when you develop a lesson plan, it induces confidence in you, the teacher, as well as help save instructional time. So that is very important there. So in developing the lesson plan, there are three main divisions. So we have the divisions of the lesson plan. We have the rubrics, we have the table, and then the back matter. So the rubrics is made up of all the preliminaries that come before the actual teaching and learning procedures as presented. So the rubrics consist of subject, topics, subtopics, class, number of students in a class, venue, time, duration, relevant previous knowledge, objectives, and advanced preparation. So these ones you see here comes before the actual lesson plan. That is the table. So this one you work on this one first. You write your subject, your topic, your subtopic, class, number of students in a class, the venue, time, duration, relevant previous knowledge, objectives, and advanced preparation. So let's say this one will be on page 1 of your lesson plan. And then page 2 will be the table. And then the other page will be the back matter. We talk about it later. That is the reference, assignment, and among others. So the subject section is where you identify the subject area in which the lesson plan being developed. So you indicate the topic the plan will cover. So if you have broken down the topic into subtopics, then you write the subtopic you are going to teach at the section. So the teacher, you must state the class in which you are going to teach as well, and also indicate the number of students in the class. And then the venue of the lesson, you have to indicate the time for the lesson is very important. The duration for the lesson, you have to identify all these rubrics. So if you are teaching more than one class, the same concept, you have one lesson plan for all the class. So in such a situation, the rubrics you have identified can be put in a table form, and then you identify the classes that you are going to use the same lesson plan for. Now, Relevance previous knowledge. When you say relevance previous knowledge, what does it mean? Now, this is the knowledge, skill, or ideas which the students already know, and then which relates the new material to be learned. So, if you are teaching a particular topic, you have to state your relevance previous knowledge when you are preparing your lesson plan. Okay, so it could be general knowledge acquired from everyday experiences or real life situations. So, it may also come from other subjects in the curriculum. That is the relevance previous knowledge. But you have to note that RPK, which is the relevant previous knowledge stated, must be relevant to the lesson. So, how to state the relevance previous knowledge? Now, relevant previous knowledge is stated from the student's point of view. So, for example, a relevant previous knowledge for the topic digestion in mammals. You can state that students eat food to get energy, or students are aware that food contains nutrients. Okay, so now you've understand the relevance previous knowledge. Now let's move on to the next one. Now, with specific objective. So when we say verbal, what do we mean? Now, the verbal or action word. You're saying that the action word depicts the observable behavior of the student. So the verb must be observable and measurable. So the verb could be know, understand, appreciate, among others. But verbs such as know, understand, appreciate are not measurable in the short term and should be avoided when writing lesson objectives. Like I said, verbs such as know, understand, appreciate are not measurable. How can you measure know? How can you measure understanding? Now, the next one is content. Now, when you say content, the objective must indicate the content the teacher wants the students to learn. That is the content. And then with the criteria, that one indicates the acceptable level of performance expected from students. So you, the teacher, which level of performance do you expect from your students? It specifies how accurately the student should exhibit the behavior. That is the criteria. So with the condition, it describes the condition under which the behavior is to be performed. And also this one, it specifies the circumstances, materials, and directions that the student is provided to perform the given task. So the condition, it can also show the context within which the behavior is to be performed. Okay, so that is the components of lesson objectives. Now, how to state objectives? So you first indicate the preamble and then followed by the objectives. Example, by the end of the lesson, the student will be able to identify epithelial tissue under the light microscope in the laboratory. So we are going to point out the component of formulating an objective. So in the example stated, all the four components were met. So in that example, that is the example I've stated above. The verb is identify. The content is epithelial tissue. The criteria is under the light microscope. And then the condition is laboratory. So when you're setting a specific objectives, all these components must be observed. Now, advanced preparation. With advanced preparation, it includes all activities or preparations the teacher makes prior to the main lesson. So, with the advanced preparation, for instance, if the teacher developed a diagram of the heart on cardboard, then that is an advanced preparation that should be captured in the lesson plan. If you are coming to teach reproduction in flowering plants, you have to get a flower. So you state that teacher looked for flowers for the lesson, or teacher plucked flowers to be used for the lesson. You can state that. So by the time the lesson will be conducted, the advanced preparation will be occurred. So that section is written in the past tense. So you state it in your lesson plan. References. Now, the teacher must indicate the source of his information, and the reference should be properly written. So when you are preparing your lesson note, when you are preparing the content, everything about the lesson note, you have to indicate your reference. Now, the tablet lesson plan. Now, after the rubrics, the next section of the lesson plan will be written in a tabular form. So the table helps to align the information being provided and helps systematic and logical presentation of information. So the first row indicates the heading for the various columns in the table. And then the heading for the first column is stage, step, content, item, and estimated time. This is the table I'm talking about. So you can see that the first one we have stage, step, content, item, and estimated time. The next one is teaching and learning materials. And then teaching and learning strategy in the next column. Under that, you can see teacher activity, student activity, and then you see the next one, which is main ideas. So this is an example of a tabular lesson plan. So this indicates the part of the lesson you are developing. So that is the stage. The stage indicates the part of the lesson you are developing. So there are four main stages in lesson plan. So we have the introduction, the content development, the application, and the closure. So the next one is the teaching and learning material. That's the TLM you use at every stage. So introduction, if you use TLM, you indicate. At the content, if you use TLM, you indicate. Application, if you use TLM, you indicate. And then teaching and learning activity. So teacher activity, what did the teacher do at the introduction stage? What did the teacher do at the content stage? What did the teacher do at the application stage? Student activity, what did the student do at every stage? Okay. So you've learned a lot in this lesson. So in reviewing what you've learned, I ask you students these questions. So I believe when you find answers to these questions, I believe you understood the lesson. Question number 1, state a lesson objective. Question number 2, state a relevant previous knowledge. Question number 3, develop a biology lesson plan. Question number 4, what is the importance of relevant previous knowledge for teaching? So most often I inform my students to learn or discuss the questions on any available e-learning platform. It could be Zoom or Google Meet.